my name is Sophia, and welcome to The Show Must Go On. So, I am so excited to be back with another School Spirits video. So, as you probably know, if you're a fan of School Spirits, they dropped the official full Season 3 trailer. I don't know how long ago that was now, like about maybe 2 weeks ago or something. Before that, they released like a little teaser, but it was like really short and didn't really give any information. But when that teaser came out, we found out that it was coming out on January 28th, which is now 6 days away when I'm filming this, and I literally cannot believe it. Like, I have been waiting for this ever since the second season ended last March. I've just been like waiting for the next season. So I can't believe we're gonna get it in literally less than a week now. So I thought today would be really fun to try to get this out before, the first 3 episodes come out on Wednesday. I want to do this little, like, me talking about the trailer and just going through it, breaking it down, like, literally frame by frame, because so much is happening in it, but it goes by so fast. Yeah, let's just get into it. So you're gonna see up here, I'm gonna have pictures of my slides, and so like I said, I basically literally took a screenshot, like, frame by frame of the trailer. I mean, I might have, not taken a screenshot of literally every single second, but, like, basically. The trailer starts with, us just seeing these clips of basically right where we left off, with season 2 ending with Maddie waking up in the hospital, which we did already see that, like, we saw her waking up and everything, but I guess we're gonna see a little bit more of her, like, talking to her mom, and her mom asks her, "How are you feeling?" And Maddie says, "I'm feeling a lot of things," which obviously we can understand, because I was really wondering about that before we got the trailer, like, if it was gonna literally start again with, like, her in the hospital, or if it was gonna kind of, like, forward in time to, like, her already out of the hospital and, like, going to school and stuff like that. But I'm guessing now that it kind of will start, like, almost exactly where it left off. And then it shows us this picture of, Wally looking at his door again, just like it ended last season, and we get, like, a close-up of his face, like, looking really, like, oh my god. So that's interesting. Obviously we know, like, he's not gonna go through it yet, because he filmed this whole season, and obviously I don't think they would ever do that. But it is gonna be interesting to see more of, like, I feel like we're gonna actually see more of him, like, contemplating going through it and, like, what he's thinking and everything. And then we get, like, this shot of Quinn, like, huddled in one of the bathroom stalls. So I don't really know what that is. I mean, that could literally be anything. And then we see this clip of Xavier, and it seems like so it's him in the hospital, and it looks like it's directly, like, him from, once again, like, where it ended with season 2, because I'm pretty sure that's the same outfit he was wearing when he, like, talks to Maddie in the hospital, and he, like, sees her dad again and stuff. I'm pretty sure he was wearing that outfit. So, and obviously in this shot he looks very, like, perplexed and stuff, so I feel like we're gonna see more, maybe him seeing more ghosts in the hospital. And then we get this shot of Mr. Martin, and it's like, we can't really see, like, where he is. He's, like, crouched down, but in the reflection of his glasses you see, like, a car, but I can't, like, I'm trying so hard to, like, zoom in and, like, tell, like, whose car that is or something, but I obviously, like, literally can't tell. But I'm confused, because it doesn't look like he's outside. Like, the background doesn't look like he's outside, but then it looks like there's a car right in front of him. So I'm kind of confused by that. I don't know if that's gonna be, like, almost like a dream sequence. Not like a dream, but, like, him thinking back to, like, a memory or something. And then we see a clip of, like, Maddie. She's, like, up against her front door, and she's, like she's looking very distressed. And then we see Simon, and he's in the library, it seems like, with, at least Charlie, Yuri, and Janet, and he's saying, "I'm not dead, right? But I'm here, like, here." And then it also shows a clip of him, what it seems like, in the, like, downstairs near, like, the boiler room and everything. He's just, like, looking around and the lights seem to be flickering. And also something that's interesting, which I pointed out in my last video, he has like a bandage on his hand. I don't know if it's gonna be like he's trying to, I don't know, like find something out, escape through one of the scar passages or whatever, and he like just hurts himself or whatever. But obviously I feel like him having the bandage has to be kind of like significant in some way, and I have like no clue what it's gonna be. I do think it's interesting that we see that he's in the library, so obviously we know that he's gonna get out of Mr. Martin's scar, which, I mean, we kind of knew that anyway, obviously, because there's no way he could just be in there the entire time. There would be like no show. But I just think it's interesting because it almost makes it seem like he gets out of that scar pretty quickly, because I don't know why, just the vibe of that clip, like him talking to them being like, I'm not dead, right? Like that seems like it's still very like fresh, and he's already in the library, so I feel like it shows that he kind of gets out of the scar kind of quickly, maybe. I don't know, that's just kind of like the vibe I'm getting. And then we see these girls at what seems to be like a Split River like assembly saying, she's back, can you believe she had the guts to show her face here again? Which I think is a little weird, because I'm like, why does it mean just because she was gone that she shouldn't have the guts to show her face? Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously they're just supposed to be annoying like kids gossiping. I like it because I like that we're gonna see like Maddie dealing with like people's weird reactions to her being back. Like we see a clip of her on like the football field, and yeah, we see like that clip of the girls talking, and we see her seemingly like looking back, like hearing what they're saying. And we see a clip where Janet, Yuri, Charlie, and Rhonda are like ouch, and they're like on the bleachers. And then we also get a shot of the new girl character who we found out is the daughter of the new superintendent, played by Jennifer Tilly. So this girl, well, the actress is Erica Swayze, but her character is Livia, I think. And we just see a clip of her like in the seat at the assembly, like just looking very like menacing. She's like, so obviously I think we're setting up she's gonna be, you know, like a mean girl and seemingly kind of intimidating like her mom and stuff. But obviously I have no clue what like role she's gonna play. Like I don't know what, like if she's gonna end up helping them or like, I don't know, but I guess we'll see. Something I want to point out though is I did think it's interesting that we didn't seem to get any clips in this trailer of another new actor that they like announced was gonna be in it. This guy named Ari Dalbert, who apparently was playing a role named Kyle, and like they had announced that with the other girl like in like articles before, but he didn't, like I didn't seem to see him in any of the clips. Yeah, we just see like Nicole and Claire sitting at this assembly. Claire's looking very like confused, and we see Maddie sitting next to Xavier, which is obviously very interesting because like I talked about in my last video, I was saying how like it's gonna be so weird just to see like Maddie and Xavier like together again, just like as friends, because obviously the last time we actually saw them together was when they were like dating and everything, and then obviously Maddie didn't even know at the time that he was cheating on her and everything, so like it's just weird to like see them together again. But I'm also very excited to see like how their dynamic is gonna like shift. And then we see Simon seems to be going into a scar, and it looks like he's pulling open the thing like it's either Janet or Mr. Martin's scar. Well, first of all, I don't know like why he's going into the scars, but I feel like that's going to be a big part of this season, is like they're all going to be like going into scars again and stuff, and like still kind of like figuring things out. And then we see this shot where it's like someone's holding a flashlight. I'm pretty sure it's Yuri. So I think that's a clip of him going into his scar, because then later we get another picture of what seems to be his scar, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. And we also get like some clips where it seems like the lights are flickering and a bunch of the ghosts are like looking up and stuff. Like we get Charlie in the bathroom looking at that. We get a clip of Quinn and Rhonda. Actually they're reading, I just noticed they're reading the notebooks again, like the notebooks that Mr. Martin kept, and once again they're looking up. Between that and we saw the clip where it looked like the lights were flickering when Simon was in like the basement or whatever. So obviously we don't know what that means, because obviously usually the flickering means that someone died, or it could mean that someone's in the scar, as in a scar. But I think they showed the lights were very like going in and out like slow, and that usually means like someone died. So, or like someone, went into someone's, like a ghost possessed someone or whatever. And we see a clip of Jennifer Tilly, and she says, I'm the district superintendent, and she said disruption on this campus will not be tolerated. And she says it in a very like creepy voice, like, and yeah, she just obviously seems very scary. So I don't know what the deal is gonna be with her. Obviously, I'm thinking like, there's a lot of dark secrets in Split River. I'm thinking maybe for some reason she, knows a lot of these secrets and stuff, and a lot of people in this town are really trying to like keep things under wraps for some reason. And so they don't like people like, Xavier and Claire and all of them like digging around and into the secrets of the town and the school and everything. Or it could just be she's just very like mad because she doesn't like that all this like weird stuff has been happening, and she feels like all the kids are just like, breaking the rules by like, obviously Simon and Claire and all them used to just be like skipping school all the time to go like try to figure out the Maddie stuff or whatever. And, maybe she's just saying it in that context, like she doesn't like the people like breaking the rules, but she doesn't actually know the like supernatural parts of it. I don't know. And we see a clip where Claire seems to be saying, I should have gone to private school, and she's like with Xavier, and like Nicole's in the background, and they seem to be looking at something, obviously, like that's making her say that. So I don't know what the context of that is going to be. I mean, obviously that's another thing that could kind of just be anything, like it's kind of hard to guess, because it could just be something as simple as, the superintendent walking by and they're just like, ugh, she's like terrible, or it could be like something bigger. I don't know. We have a clip of Charlie saying, I don't need my boyfriend, knowing what's going on in the deepest or darkest corners of my mind. They cut to a shot while he's saying that of what it seems like Janet's door again, like the exit door opening, like how we saw it at the end of last season, but obviously she didn't go through it. So that's interesting to me, because obviously that's making me think that there's gonna be another time that she sees the door and maybe almost goes through it or something. I don't know. And obviously I think in this case Charlie's talking about the scars, and that's why like that's being shown at that point, because like the darkest corners of his mind. But the only thing that doesn't make sense to me about that is Yuri already has been in the darkest corners of his mind, because he has been in his scar when they were all like running through each other's scars at the end. But to be fair, he was only in it for like 10 seconds, so I don't know why. I get the feeling that for some reason in this season they're all going to be like going in each other's scars like for a lot longer this time and like really investigating in them. So maybe that's why Charlie's saying that. Like maybe he doesn't like Yuri like going into his scar for like a longer period of time. Because then we see these clips where it seems like Simon is in Quinn's scar, which is very interesting, obviously, because we haven't seen it yet. Because we can tell, because it looks like, he's on a bus, and then we see this, like, creepy, like, little girl, which really confuses me. I don't even, like, her outfit is, like, bedazzled, and, like, I don't even know what she looks, I don't know what that is. That is so creepy to me. If someone has an idea of who that girl is and why she's on this bus, leave it down below. But then again, it is Quinn's scar, so maybe it also just has something to do with someone in Quinn's life, because sometimes the scars aren't just like your actual death, it's like different pieces of your life. So I don't know. But we see, like, it shows this shot of like a dead band student on the bus. But I thought it was interesting that it shows that her t-shirt says Split River Marching Band presents The Wizard of Oz. So now we know that The Wizard of Oz was like the music that they were playing for that last competition they were going to or whatever when they died. And I know that might just seem really like random that I'm mentioning that, but I don't know why. I just feel like that has some significance. Because first of all, I feel like in a show like this, they don't just like do things for no apparent reason. And I think it would make a lot of sense because, and I actually kind of, I think talked about this when I talked about like the last episode of season 2, like someone on Reddit had actually pointed out that there are actually some parallels between School Spirits and the Wizard of Oz, because like, both have like a girl that gets like, into this like new world, but she like wants to go home, and she meets like these 3 people along the way, and they like are all on this journey together and stuff. Like it kind of has the same basic like formula of the Wizard of Oz, and I feel like it has a similar themes too, of like every character feels like they're really like missing something in their life, or like has gone through these like traumas that make them feel like inadequate in some way. And obviously in the Wizard of Oz, the whole thing is like the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion are very like insecure about like this one thing that they're like missing, and they feel like they need to have it. But then also the Wizard of Oz really tackles themes of like deception and like the spectacle, like people kind of showing something to be not quite what it actually is, because like the wizard isn't actually who he says he is. And it's kind of the same thing with like Mr. Martin acts like he is helping them and all this stuff, but he's really not. And we don't know what's happening at Split River. Like we don't know why all these people are dying and stuff, and it seems like the school is almost like covering up like how many deaths there have been and stuff. So I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of parallels, and I really think, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just reading way too deep into this. It could literally just be like their band teacher, they just picked the Wizard of Oz, but I don't know, I just feel like, because also I know these showrunners, like Megan and Nate, like I see you, like I know that you guys think really deeply about every single thing that you put in this show. So I just don't think the Wizard of Oz thing is just like a random thing. Like I think it's gonna have some tie-ins with the plot, which I also think would be very interesting, because once again, it's really playing on that whole thing of like why is Split River like this, like what are the deeper mysteries, what are these like magical supernatural elements of Split River that make it this way. And then we see these shots of just like kids at the school seemingly like looking at Maddie, and we see her like walking with Claire and Nicole, and she's like looking behind her and stuff, and once again just really playing on that, like she's dealing with like being back and people being confused about what happened to her and everything. And we see Maddie saying, if I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. And she looks like very distressed. She looks like she's like crying, and I can't quite tell where she is in the background. I think she's somewhere in the school, but I can't really tell where. But obviously I think that's very interesting, because once again, I think we're really delving into like, Maddie's just in a weird place right now. She even goes on to say, I don't know how to live between 2 worlds. And like we're seeing her, it's like her brain is always like in the ghost realm, but then her mom is like snapping her into reality like Mads, and she's like actually standing in her kitchen, and she's like, what the heck, And yeah, I just think it's interesting because Maddie for so long was in this other realm, and she was so used to that by that point, and she made all these friends there and a relationship with Wally and everything, and then it's like now she's just back to reality. And she also can't even really like tell anyone about this, well obviously besides like her friends who know about it, because it would sound crazy and people would not believe it or whatever. So even though once again I'm very interested to see if more people do start to find out, like her mom and stuff eventually. But yeah, and we kind of see this shot where it just looks like she's just like falling into like a black like void, and we also see a clip where she's almost, it looks like she's like opening a door, and she looks very like like she's discovering something. So I don't know if that's gonna be like some sort of dream sequence. I mean, obviously I think her falling is definitely some sort of dream. I did actually hear Peyton List say in like an interview a couple like months ago or something that she said something about like Maddie's having like weird dreams and stuff. So I do think there's gonna be something with like when Maddie sleeps, like she's still gonna be like feeling like she's in the ghost realm, like, at night. And that's why it's gonna make it even harder for her, like, when she wakes up and she's like, what the heck? But I'm also wondering if these dreams aren't just gonna be, like, random, but, like, there's something, like, supernatural happening with her having these dreams, you know what I mean? And maybe she actually is, like, discovering, like, things in her dreams about, like, the town and the school and stuff. And then we hear, this is probably, I think, the most interesting thing that we see in the trailer. I'm very confused by this. We see Mr. Martin saying there are others, but they're not like us. And it shows clips of, like it seems like Simon is discovering, he, like, sees this person. It's so creepy. We can't even tell, like, who they are. They're, like, on a chair facing backwards to him. And then we see, like, a clip of him, I don't even know, at some sort of doorway or something. And he's like, so I don't know what that is. Like, this is really making me think that there are, like, he's saying there are others. So it makes me think that there's, like, other spirits, but they're, like, bad. They're, like, evil spirits, you know? And they, once again, like, maybe that has to do with, like, why this town is cursed and stuff. Like, maybe there are actually these, like, evil spirits that, like, literally, like, feed off of, like, people dying in this town and, like, bringing new souls into the dimension and stuff. Like, I don't know. We see this clip too where Mr. Martin looks like he's, like, looking down into, like, a hole or something, and the sky is really, like, weird, and, like, I don't know what this is. And we see, I think when he's talking, saying, like, they're not like us, it seems like he's in the auto shop, because that looks like the car that Maddie and, like, Xavier would go to and stuff. So I don't know, like, why he would be in there. But now that I'm looking at it too, him looking into that, like, hole and, like, the sky looks weird. Like, I thought it was just a sky with, like, stars, but I feel like it could almost be, like, that orange-ish part could almost be, like, smoke. Like, that could be, like, from the fire, and it could be, like, part of the scar or something, and he's, like, discovering some weird thing below the surface of the scar. I don't know. And also when he says, like, they're not like us, we see this clip of what looks like an old-fashioned looking, like, nurse, and then there seems to be this creepy shadow behind her, like, this other figure. So once again, I have no clue. Like, this once again makes me think that there are, like, other spirits. Like, she seems like she could be a spirit because she looks very, like, old-fashioned. But I don't know what that creepy shadow is. And we also see just a shot of Maddie. Like, it looks like Maddie's eye, like, looking through something, but I have no idea what she's looking at. And we see what seems to be Yuri going into his scar, which is cool that we're also going to see his when we haven't before, because we see it looks like he's, like, choking, and that's, like, what happened to him. But then I think it's cool because it also seems like there's this clip where it looks like Yuri, but he, like, is dressed up differently, and he has, like, a microphone, and he's, like, pointing and laughing, and it makes me think, like, maybe that's part of his scar, and because he dealt with a lot of, like, anxiety and stuff, and I wonder if, like, that's, like, himself making fun of himself, kind of, like, in his scar, kind of like Charlie's, when there were, like, all the Charlie's, like, the people that looked like him, like, making fun of him. And then we see a clip where Maddie is, like, in the car, but she's like, stop the car, and she runs out, and she's, like, running into, I think, the school. And we hear the superintendent saying this school is an absolute death trap, which obviously is, yeah, true, but also why is she saying that? I don't know. And we have these clips of Wally running through something. I don't know. I can't tell if it's, like, Rhonda's scar with all those radios, or if it's, like, Dawn's or something. I don't know. He has his football with him, though, too, which obviously we know is, like, his key. And we see a clip of, like, Quinn and Rhonda taking a photo together. So obviously I think that's just, you know, we're going to be expanding on their friendship, possibly relationship. I don't know. Some people have different opinions on that. We see this clip where it looks like someone's like lighting a candle, and there's like a moon like thing next to it, and I can't tell like who is lighting it, but I think that's interesting because it kind of reminds me of when in season 1 when Dawn was doing like the anti-seance to try to get Maddie to remember what happened to her. So who knows, maybe we'll even get another flashback of Dawn or something. That would be so cool because I love her so much. Or I don't know, maybe they're just doing some other type of like seance again or something. And we see this clip of Xavier, and he seems to be in like, I don't even know, like this like morgue, because there's like these dead bodies around him, and he's like holding some paper or clipboard or something, and he's looking very like kind of nervous. I actually just watched a couple little like press interviews came out with the cast, and obviously they didn't, they couldn't like delve too much into it before it comes out, but they kind of gave some insight into the season. And Spencer McPherson, who plays Xavier, said that a lot of his scenes had to be filmed at this like abandoned asylum and like a morgue. I don't know if Xavier is like, because obviously like when I think of like asylum and stuff, like it also kind of makes me think of like the hospital, and obviously we know that's where he kind of has this like spirit connection and stuff, but I don't really know what that has to do with him going to an asylum, but I don't know. And we see this like really interesting shot where it's like Nicole, but it's like everything is like spinning around her, and I can't really tell what's happening. I think it's just like students in the school and stuff, but she looks like very confused. And I did also hear her say in an interview that Nicole kind of is doing her own little like investigation by herself this season, kind of like last season when she was like interviewing Eugene by herself and stuff. So I'm guessing that clip is kind of like from that, but I don't know what type of investigation she's gonna be doing. This is probably the most confusing shot to me. Like I have no clue what this is. It's like a dollhouse and it's like burning. I have no idea what that, like, what? Huh? Like, why is there, because at first I was like, is someone making a replica of, like, the school, and they're, like, burning it? But it doesn't look like a school, obviously. It looks like just, like, a house. So I don't know what that is. I'm trying to even, like, look at the background, and I can't really, the background actually kind of looks like the outside of the school, but, like, why would there just be this table with a dollhouse outside of the school? I have no idea. And we hear Mr. Martin saying to Simon, we need to get out of here now. And it looks like it's from where we left off, where they're still like stuck in his scar. So obviously I think that's probably going to be like one of the first scenes. Like we're probably going to see Mr. Martin and Simon stuck in that scar together, and Mr. Martin's going to be like plotting with him to try to like get them out of there. And then it also just ends with like this clip of Maddie just like looking very scared like usual, but she has this red lighting over her, and it's almost like a greenish background, so it almost makes me think of like the scars again. And actually, now that I think about it, she seems to be wearing the like regular outfit again, like the flannel that she wore like when she was a ghost. So it almost makes me think like, I don't know if this is just like a flashback of her in one of the scars, or if she does somehow go back into the realm for a little bit and is like in one of the scars, or if it's just one of her weird dreams or something. I do not know. So that is basically everything that happens in the trailer. I know that's like a lot. Like I said, that's why I wanted so badly to like go frame by frame and like break everything down, because I definitely missed like a lot of this when I just like watched the trailer for the first time. But it's hard. Like, I still can't even really piece together much from this trailer. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great trailer, and obviously I don't want to, like, know what's gonna happen, but it's just interesting, because even though there's all these clips, like, they did a really good job at making them very, like, out of context and, like, scattered, so, like, you really don't know, like, what any of these clips, like, mean, basically. Like, there's only a few clips where, like, I can kind of infer what's going on, like the basic of it, but like some of them I literally have no clue. Like I said, like the dollhouse and like Xavier in the morgue and stuff, like that stuff I'm just like, what? So it's a lot to take in. I definitely think this season is gonna be insane. Like I can't even, like I feel like if we thought the first 2 seasons were complicated, I feel like this season is gonna be like it's gonna make the first 2 seasons look like child's play, like in terms of like the mystery and stuff. So I'm really excited. And I also just wanted to mention that I remember a little while back I saw a little interview with Josh Zuckerman, who plays Mr. Martin, and he was kind of saying how, you know, he feels like season 1 was kind of mostly like a murder mystery because, you know, we're just like figuring out what happened to Maddie. Then season 2 is kind of more, you know, like paranormal, almost kind of like sci-fi-ish with like just the whole Janet thing and the scars or whatever. And then he said he feels like this season is more like horror. Like it's and I've actually heard multiple of the cast say that, like in these new interviews too, that it's like definitely more scary this season. Because that is something I really love about this show, is how it's very like there's so many different aspects of it. And yeah, like every season feels like it still feels like cohesive, but it also feels different. And I really like that about it because I feel like it keeps it very like fresh and interesting. So like I said, I do think though that whole thing of like it being more like horror, I feel like that does really relate to the whole like idea that there's these like other spirits and stuff. Like I feel like, you know, that is very like spooky and stuff, especially with like I don't know, just the whole theme of like uncovering the town secrets. Like that does just feel very like horror. Like, you know, when you hear like old like, you know, tales of like your town and like paranormal stuff that has happened there and stuff, like that's the vibes I'm getting. And also I think it's interesting that like the cover of this season, like the poster, obviously we have like Maddie, Wally, and Simon and like the school, but then we see like it looks like there's actually like a river and like forests and stuff, and there's this really creepy figure, like shadow once again, which almost I feel like looks like just like death personified. I kind of talked about it in my season 3 theories video that like I do think there's going to be a lot of like tie-ins with like Greek mythology and stuff, with because even like I said, like Split River is kind of a play on like the river Styx, and the whole thing with the river Styx is that it's like when people would die they have to like go across this river, and there's like a ferryman who's like taking them there, but they would have to pay a price to the ferryman, and if they couldn't, then they would be stuck there at the river. So once again, I feel like it's a similar thing where it's like you have like unfinished business as a ghost in Split River, and if you can't solve it, then you're like stuck there. But it also said those who made it to the afterlife and had good souls would be sent to be reincarnated. So once again, I don't know, just something interesting to think about, like when they finally have seemed to like work through their stuff, their exit door opens and we don't know what happens then. And I'm very interested to see if they're gonna like explore that or if they're still gonna keep it very like just up to interpretation. I think the poster is very telling. Like I definitely think there's gonna be a big theme of like, I don't know, like there's just something deeper lurking beneath the surface with this town. There's some sort of like evil spirits and stuff like making these deaths happen, keeping the people in the town. I also forgot to mention that I also heard Josh Zuckerman, Mr. Martin, say in an interview that apparently this season picks up with finding out another like big deep secret about Mr. Martin, like even more than what we learned about him at the end of season 2. And he said he was very surprised by that, and you know, obviously thought last season was like the big reveal of Mr. Martin. So that is also crazy, and I have literally no idea what that could be. But that's just another little piece of information we have. So that's basically it for me breaking down this trailer. Once again, like definitely leave your like theories, or like if you picked up on something from this trailer that like I didn't, like definitely comment it, because my brain is like can't even like process everything. But yeah, I'm literally so excited I can't even like express how excited I am for this season to come out. I think I'm literally still in like shock that it's like already coming. Like I literally feel like we were just like watching season 2 like when it was first coming out. But yeah, so I'd love to talk, you know, to all of my fellow School Spirit fans, and definitely if you haven't already, follow my School Spirits TikTok, which is called @SplitRiverSociety. And yeah, I just do a lot of fun little School Spirit related like edits and different like fun things like that, and it's really fun just to interact with other School Spirits fans and stuff there. So definitely follow that for even more like School Spirits related content from me. And I will talk to you guys, like literally the next time I'll be talking to you is when we have seen the first 3 episodes of season 3. So I will see you then. Bye!